Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. What's up, everybody? Good morning and a very happy Tuesday to you all. A DK show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Appreciate you tuning in, however you're tuning in. If it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Available to stream up online at sportstalk1051.com, WAYYradio.com. Got your app, download it, take it on the go. Smart devices like your smart speakers like Alexa, and, of course, the YouTube video stream up and rolling here this morning. What do we have on our game plan for this Tuesday of April 28th? We'll talk some Brewers, talk a little baseball as the Brew Crew gets set to return to the field tonight as they welcome the Diamondbacks to town. Chad Patrick is going to get the start for the Brewers. First pitch at 6:40. Brewers coming in today in last place in the NL Central, 3.5 games behind the top-seeded Cincinnati Reds. So Patrick, 1-1 so far on the season with a 2.35 ERA. He is coming off of a loss against the Tigers back on the 22nd, where he went 4 innings, giving up 6 hits, 4 earned runs. So looking for a little bit of a bounce-back game for one Chad Patrick tonight. The Brewers will have this 3-game series against the Diamondbacks before hitting the road and heading east to take on the Nationals. So we'll talk some Brewers, talk some baseball here this morning, throughout the morning here. Also, want to chat a little best of, all right, best available now that the NFL draft is in the books and all that good stuff. I want to take a look at maybe some veteran free agents now, because I think this is the next wave of free agency coming. Maybe not right away. Maybe when we get closer to camp and July and such. But kind of looking at, all right, who are some of the veterans that are available? And they're probably most likely going to be players that are going to be signed to 1-year deals. Okay, so it's probably going to be a veteran, just a 1-year type of deal. There's some well-known names out there, but are they good fits, decent fits for the green and gold? And if you did your homework assignment, if you were listening yesterday, I asked you to kind of take a look at some of the players that were available, and you let me know who you think the Packers should maybe bring in on a 1-year veteran deal. So I got a few. All right, I'm not saying they should bring all of these players that I'm going to mention here, but I got a few that I think would be solid fits for the green and gold. So we'll take a look at that and get your input on it as well. We're going to catch up with RJ Cardinal here in a couple hours to do some Badger chat. We'll talk a little bit about spring football practice. We've got some more Badger hoops talk, both men's and women's basketball. Hitting the transfer portal, getting some new players in. So we'll chat a little bit about that with Mr. Cardinal coming up at about 8:20 this morning for our Badger chat. Since it is Tuesday, it is a Toyson Ford, a Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what in the world is grinding your gears, peeps? All right, let me know. Get it off your chest. Send it on over. Make it appropriate. Best ones we'll read up on the air. Also, since it's about a Feel Better Tuesday, what's your sports confession? You got a confession? Maybe it was something from the draft this past weekend. Maybe it was something else, Brewers-wise, or whatever the case may be. What's your sports confession? What's your sports confession? All right. Send it on over. Also, one more thing coming your way. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Fill in the blanks. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. All right? Let's have a little fun with that here. So that's that's your game plan here for this morning and wherever our conversation may take us. So that's kind of where we're at here this morning. So start to hit us up with some messages on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. You can also join in on the Section 105 chat on YouTube if you would like. Let's get your input. Let's get your thoughts on that. Also, I forgot to mention here a little bit too. Going back to a little homework assignment. Who would be next on your priority list if you are a Packers fan? So we got Jaden Reed signed up and such. So who would be next in your priority list in terms of re-signing or giving an extension to somebody that is on this roster? Is it Watson? Is it Devontae Wyatt? Is it Tucker Kraft? Is it, maybe somebody else? Or who? Maybe if you don't want to use the word priority, maybe who do you think is more important for Green Bay to kind of lock up? And I want your thoughts on Lucas Van Ness. Should the Packers pick up the fifth-year option? Should they pick up that fifth-year option for Lucas Van Ness? Because we're starting to see teams. The deadline is approaching. It's May 1st. All right, it's coming up on Friday. They have to decide then. Should they do it? Or do you think maybe the draft with the new kid from Penn State coming over kind of maybe said, no, then you factor in Colin Oliver, Barron Sorrell, where maybe Green Bay's like, no, we're good. We're not going to maybe invest all that money and let Lucas Van Ness play out this year and see what they got, and then maybe you franchise tag it, or maybe you can come to a deal. How would you approach this fifth-year option debate for Lucas Van Ness? And then finally, going back to the priority thing, the other homework assignment I asked you, put yourself in the cleats, the shoes of one Christian Watson. Do you bet on yourself and not sign an extension right now and hit free agency and maybe get top 10 wide receiver money? Or do you take security? Try your best to come at it from the shoes, the cleats of Christian Watson and not from the fan side of it. Fan side of it, you're probably saying take it now because it's probably going to be cheaper if he balls out, if he plays out. But put yourself in the shoes of one Christian Watson. You got to factor in, hey, I've been banged up a few times and such. I'm coming off of a good year. My stock is pretty high right now. Do I bet on myself or do I take that security? All right. Start to hit me up with your answers on that. So let's take our first break, and then we'll get going on the leadoff. That's your game plan. All right. Let's get into the leadoff. We'll take a quick break and be right back in just a couple minutes to get this Tuesday morning rocking and rolling. Oh, we got more deals going on at our good friends at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. We're talking about some sales going on with Gatorade. I mean, now's the time with Little League and softball and T-ball. You're probably trying to find some of those quick snacks or hydration for the kiddos. Take advantage of that. Maybe, speaking of snacks, my kid's a big fan of Goldfish crackers. Hey, 2 for $4. 2 for $4 going on right now at Hy-Vee. How about $3.99 each of bubbly 8-packs with the purchase of 2. My kid, again, I'm going to use him as an example. When he was younger, would call it spicy water, so that's what we call it in our house now is spicy water. But we're big on those beverages as well. 3 for $10 Jack's Pizza. Load up the deep freezers, especially for some quicker meals and such. You got $3.99 each with the purchase of 2 for Doritos chips. We were just debating in the house yesterday what flavor is the best Dorito. $2.99 on 24-pack of Hy-Vee water bottles. I mean, you got everything that you need for some quick meals, quick snacks, especially if you're going to be on the go because it is the busy time of year. And as always, don't forget you can save some money at the gas pump by shopping at Hy-Vee with your fuel perks. But you can also go to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire's Facebook page to check out the latest deals and all the happenings at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. We got the leadoff going on right now, and we'll kind of, mix and we'll go back and forth between a little Brewers chat as we get set for tonight's game. game one of this 3-game set against the Diamondbacks. We've got Chad Patrick on the mound for the Brew Crew. But also, we'll go talk a little football here, too, now that the draft is over with. I call it the next wave of NFL free agency where it's loaded up with some veterans maybe that you could get on a 1-year deal. And these are just a quick kind of rundown of some of the veterans that are still available. And if we maybe just look at some of these players, does any one of these players maybe stand out to you in terms of like, yeah, I'd like Green Bay to maybe add that player to a 1-year deal? You got Juwan Jennings, the wide receiver formerly of the 49ers. You've got Taylor Decker, left tackle from the Lions. I would imagine he's probably looking for a starting spot, though. Joey Bosa still out there. Bobby Wagner, Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, Jadeveon Clowney, Rasul Douglas, David Njoku, Keenan Allen, Nick Chubb, guard Will Hernandez, Calais Campbell, corner Mike Hilton, defensive tackle DJ Reader. You've got, if you want another veteran edge rusher, Von Miller's out there. Tyreek Hill is out there. Mekhi Becton, the guard, interior guard, left tackle Cam Robinson, Cameron Jordan, defensive end Trayvon Diggs, who spent a quick hot minute with the Pack. So any of those names, or maybe there's some other ones out there that I just didn't mention that you already kind of did your homework like a good student, and like, no, this is the player I'd like Green Bay to bring in for a 1-year deal. Any of those names kind of maybe trip your trigger or get you like, I wouldn't mind that. And kind of give me a reason why. All right? Give me a little bit of a reason why. So, let's, okay, I got an unknown texter here. Give me a name if you're a first-time texter. We appreciate Van Ness needs to step up big time, the texter says. The kicker the Packers have now can't handle pressure and needs to be gone. So I'm assuming you're referring to Brandon McManus and not their new rookie kicker. Appreciate you texted in. Let's go to the phone lines, the Shoe Doctor's bullpen line this morning, and say good morning to one C-Bomb. Good morning, sir. Chadwick C-Bomb, how are you doing?
Good morning, El Capitano. It is a beautiful cloudy Tuesday, but it's not snowing, so I'll take it.
Exactly, end of April here, so we're getting into the good time of the year here, man. April showers bring May flowers, right? So it'll warm up, buddy.
It will. Hey, I'll tell you what, great conversation here. You're starting with the group out here. I got to jump in the 105 chat room here when I get to work, but and I actually have been looking forward today. Are you going to have Joe on later to talk some of these draft picks that we got?
That's Wednesday. This is Tuesday.
Wednesday?
Yeah.
Oh, see? Here, I'm fired up. I'm thinking it's Wednesday, for crying out loud. Good Lord. I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to that conversation because I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a ton of college football. What I get out of these players is what you see leading up to the draft and when they actually do the draft picks and they talk about the players. So I'm excited to hear a little more in-depth analysis of the picks we got here, but I thought we did good in the draft.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, let me ask you, though. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You shoot.
No, I was going to say, I mean, you know a lot about the players that are in the NFL right now. So is there any of these free agents, the veteran free agents that are still out there that you think would be good fits for the Packers? Because I feel like this is another wave where you're going to see a lot of these guys just sign 1-year deals, which would not break the bank for a team like Green Bay, who's still looking to probably get some extensions done for some current players.
Yeah, no, I think, and that was my reason for chiming in here is to talk a little bit about the free agents, because I would like to see some depth at corner, whether it's Rasul Douglas or just somebody to give some depth there. But one guy I would really like to see them go after is Deebo Samuel. And the reason being is he's 30, so he's still got a little left in the tank. He came from Shanahan's system where he was electric out there in San Francisco. And I think we've lost a lot of depth in that wide receiver room, right? And nobody's really stayed healthy for a full year out of the group we've got. So I think a little more depth at wide receiver and a solid veteran presence that knows the system and can be used kind of in that switchblade type of role, Deebo Samuel, I think, would plug right in and be instant value for the Packers.
Deebo is such an interesting player because I'll be honest, like I'm kind of surprised he's still out there. Like you said, he's 30 years old, and it's not like he's coming off of a really bad year. He played 16 games with Washington. He had over 700 yards receiving, which was more than the prior year when he was with San Francisco. He had 5 receiving touchdowns, which was more than the year prior. So I'm a little surprised that he's still available, to be honest with you, because I think he is a versatile wide receiver. Now, he's only had over 1,000 yards one time in his career, but he's a guy that he's not like your perimeter guy, right? He's not going to be that big down the field type of receiver. And to be honest, I wouldn't be completely opposed to that, because I think there's one thing too, is that we know he plays hurt a lot too, and I know he gets banged up quite a bit because of the role that Shanahan has asked him to play over the years when he was with San Francisco. But I don't know, man. I'm a little surprised he's still available out there.
Well, I think, his numbers don't pop off the screen. You got to remember too, he didn't have Jaden Daniels for most of the year last year.
That's true.
I think that, he would be an instant, and we don't need him to be a 1,000-yard receiver catching 15 touchdowns. We need somebody that can move the chains on 3rd and 6, and a guy who can, run those jet sweeps and catch the balls across the middle. And I think he'd be a perfect fit. I would be ecstatic if we got him. I think he'd help that offense tremendously. And he doesn't have to be the guy, he just has to be one of the guys. So we'll see. I would like it.
I mean, I know, and I think as well how many times we've gone up, or the Packers have gone up against the 49ers, and it feels like Deebo has always made a play or two against Green Bay, so we should be very familiar with what he could potentially do. I know it was a few years ago, but, I mean, we've seen it firsthand, right?
You know it, and I'd rather see him doing it to other teams than having it done to us.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, really quick, before I let you go, the other question, or really quick, 2 more questions. Do you pick up a 5th-year option on Lucas Van Ness, and who's the next priority in terms of locking up?
So I believe LVN, and I don't know the exact number. What is it, 13, 14 million, something like that for the 5th year? Do you know what it is?
I'll look it up here quick just to confirm it, but I think you're right. It's around 13, 14.
Okay, so if it's 13 or 14 million, I think it's a no-brainer they pick up that 5th-year option. And why, if you look at the average salary of a defensive end, I think it's 13 million. So I think Lucas Van Ness is an above-average edge rusher, and he adds value, especially when Parsons is there and Van Ness can just go crazy. I think they pick it up. Now, and to the second part of that question, they need to lock up Watson. So if extending Van Ness or picking up that 5th-year option hinders their ability to pick or to extend Christian Watson, then I think we got to let him go, and we got to go with our new draft pick out of Penn State, that Sutton guy, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, like I said earlier, I don't know a lot about these draft picks just from what I've seen and heard, and it sounds like that Dennis Sutton's pretty solid, but I don't know that he's going to be Lucas Van Ness when Van Ness is getting her going. Yeah,
it's about $13 to $14 million. It looks like from my quick search over here. So for LVN, but yeah, I almost feel like, do they do kind of a prove it type of deal? Remember, was that the Nick Perry situation from a few years ago? But that could also be a cautionary tale, right? Nick Perry had that really great season. They lock him up, and then that was the last we heard of Nick Perry.
Yeah, I think the writing was on the wall with Nick Perry, though. He was a different. With Lucas Van Ness, you're getting everything every time he's out there. So
that's true.
The work he puts in has never been questioned, and I think there was some questions with Perry, kind of like Rashawn Gary, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. So, hey, C-Bob, good to hear from you this morning, buddy. Appreciate the phone call.
You bet. Thanks for having me, El Capitano. You have a great week, and I'll look forward to that conversation tomorrow. God,
all right.
Dang, I thought it was Wednesday.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, buddy. There you go. There's C-Bomb hopping off on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. So how about the rest of you? Would you pick up a 5th-year option for one Lucas Van Ness with the deadline looming coming up on Friday, knowing it'll be, let's say, closer to $14 million if we round up, if we do a basic roundup? So let us know. All right, let us know. Hit us up with your quick thoughts. And given the fact that the Packers did not draft a wide receiver, and they've moved on from Dontavian Wicks and Romeo Dobbs. Would you kick the tires on a Deebo Samuel player for a 1-year deal? Would you be interested in that? I'm not quite sure what the asking price is or anything like that, but just straight up, would that be somebody that you would be willing to bring in? I'll kind of go through a few of the other players that I wouldn't be opposed to. And then again, I don't think that they're going to get all these guys or anything like that. But, when I look at this list of some veteran free agents, the names that still kind of pop out to me. Rasul Douglas, I know he's 31, but I think he can still play at a high level as a rotational player. Trayvon Diggs, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing in on a 1-year deal. Some other guys, DJ Reader, if we want a more prototypical nose tackle defensive lineman for some depth and just to bring in to help stop the run, I wouldn't be opposed to that either. Calais Campbell for 1 more year, why not, bud? Get that ring, try to get that ring. Very familiar with Jonathan Gannon from last year. You would think it would be an easy transition. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Those are a few names that kind of jumped out to me. And maybe there's another veteran backup tackle out there. Because I don't think Taylor Decker is going to come and just be a backup. Maybe it could be wrong. Could be completely wrong. And I don't think Cam Robinson would be that way either. But again, could be completely wrong. But if there's another backup tackle out there that could come in and maybe get you some reps at left tackle specifically, if Jordan Morgan were to go down or just to add some more depth to that position too. So those are the names that kind of jumped out to me. I wouldn't be opposed to any of those. So how about the rest of you? Let me know. Let's take a quick break. We got plenty more on this, though. We'll be right back after these quick words. Hey, sometimes accidents happen, but getting your vehicle back to normal does not have to be stressful. And at Superior Auto Body, they specialize in getting your vehicle looking right again after dents, dings, or collisions. And the best part is that they handle that insurance process for you, working directly with your provider to make things simple and hassle-free. No runaround, no confusion, just quality work in a team that's got your back every single step of the way. Get your vehicle back on the road with confidence. That's Superior Auto Body in Eau Claire, where the job gets done right. Brew Crew back at it tonight, taking on the Diamondbacks of Arizona. Chad Patrick is going to take the hill, going to be on the mound here for the Crew. Coming off of his recent game against the Tigers, it was a loss back on the 22nd, where he went 4 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs with a couple of strikeouts. When we look at what Chad Patrick has done so far this season, he has pitched in five games, so this will be his 6th game coming up here. And that Tigers game was, I think, fair to say, numbers-wise, his worst performance so far this season. I mean, it was the game that he's given up the most earned runs. I mean, when you look at his previous games, he only gave up 1 earned run against the White Sox back in March, 1 earned run against Toronto. So other ones, he didn't give up any earned runs. So looking for a little bit of a bounce-back performance here when it comes to Chad Patrick. And if you're looking at the Diamondbacks lineup, I mean, there's really not a whole lot of experience going up against Chad Patrick here. So maybe that nice advantage for the Brewers and Patrick and such. But the Diamondbacks, they're coming in with a 15-12 record in that National League West division that obviously features Dodgers and Padres going back and forth at the top. You've got the Giants mixed in there as well. So, but looking at the Diamondbacks, here's just a few numbers to kind of maybe watch here for the Diamondbacks, and maybe if we did a little keys to victory. They're not a big home run hitting team. In fact, they're ranked 20th out of 30 in total home runs. They're tied with the Rockies and the Kansas City Royals with just 27 home runs so far this season. But the Brewers, they're second to last. They've got 19 total home runs. So you look at what the Diamondbacks do and what the Brewers have, it's like, well, that's quite a bit more, right? But the Brewers, even though they don't hit a whole lot of home runs, they still find ways to manufacture those runs and score those runs. They're 11th currently right now in the league in RBIs with a .127. But the Diamondbacks are right behind them at 126. When you look at the Brew Crew, too, in terms of we're staying with the offensive side here, they don't strike out a ton. They're 22nd in total strikeouts, which is good in this case. But the Diamondbacks are even better. All right, they're third best in the entire league in terms of their strikeout numbers on the offensive side. All right, they struck out a total of 209 times, the Brewers at 225. If you look at batting average, Diamondbacks, they're one of the best. They're a top 10 team. They've got the sixth best team batting average at 255. If you're wondering where the Brewers are at on this list, they're 24th at 231. Well, how about OPS? Diamondbacks are still a top 10 team, 736 OPS. Brewers-wise, 26, 678. You catching a theme of what's going on lately here for the Brewers? A lot of offensive numbers, right? How about the pitching side of things? Let's take a look at team ERA for this thing. Whose pitching staff is performing better? Well, the Brewers are a top 10 team. They're 8th right now in all of Major League Baseball with a 3.82 ERA. The Diamondbacks, they're 23rd, 4.53. If we look at opponent's batting average, the Brewers coming in at number 12, 237. The Diamondbacks, 22nd, 251. In terms of strikeout numbers, the Brewers are just outside the top 10 again. They're 11th. The Diamondbacks, second to last. So their pitching staff, the second fewest strikeouts. They've struck out batters 204 times, whereas the Brewers, 250. So you've got the Brewers' strength is obviously pitching, going up against the Diamondbacks' strength, which is offense and hitting right now, if we look at these numbers. If we look at where everything is kind of standing right now, and the biggest weakness for the Brewers is offense, whereas the Diamondbacks' biggest weakness so far is pitching. Which one is going to win out? There you have it. You're going into AmFam Field here as well. I'd be a little nervous with that. And it's not like the Diamondbacks are blowing the doors off of home run numbers, but, man, they're hitting them at a better rate than the Brewers right now. I think the biggest key here for a Brewers victory, we know it. Can they get any production from the offense? Can they get this thing going? Can other guys, pun intended, step up to the plate and be consistent contributors? Get this thing back on track here a little bit. Hits are contagious, man. Hits are contagious. Let's get this thing going. Keep it going. I think that's the key for tonight and for this series and going on right now. I think if you polled Brewers fans, which area do you have more confidence in? Is it pitching? Is it defense? Or is it offense right now? And even though the Brewers have had some errors defensively, I think 9 times out of 10, probably even 10 times out of 10, a lot of people will pick the pitching and the defensive side until we see something more from a consistency standpoint on the offensive side. So again, first pitch is at 6:40 tonight. You can tune in to the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM to tune into that game coverage. Pre-game coverage will begin about 35 minutes prior. But the Brewers are entering today's game last in their division. Right now, when you take a look at the NL Central, it is still the Reds on top. Cubs, 1.5 games back. Pirates, 2.5 games back. Cardinals are 3 back. and the Brewers are 3.5 back. Looking at the rest of the NL Central, the Reds will begin a series with the Colorado Rockies. You've got the Cubbies taking on the Padres, the Pirates taking on the Cardinals, and then the Brewers taking on the Diamondbacks. So the Dodgers have joined the likes of the Braves as the two lone teams, or the two first teams, to hit that 20-win mark. If the Yankees win tonight against the Rangers, they will be the third team to hit 20 wins on the season. Padres could also do it too if they beat the Cubs tonight. So, but I know everybody pays attention. A lot of people pay attention to the Dodgers, but Padres right now they're playing some really good baseball too. They're just a half game back from the Dodgers for that top spot in the NL West in the early goings of this Major League Baseball season. So, okay, we got to take our final break here. We'll get to that, and as we start to wrap up the first hour, it is a Toyson Ford to Grind My Gears Tuesday. What is grinding your gears? Also, your sports confessions. Okay, it's about a Feel Better Tuesday, and then fill in the blanks. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. And I got another thing I want to throw out to you, just to kind of get your brain thinking here a little bit. Something I was watching last night because we were rained out from baseball, and it got me thinking about something. So I want to throw it out to you, to the rest of you. That's coming up after this really quick break. The fields are coming back to life. Just got to drain out a little bit from all the rain, but it is spring sports season in the Chippewa Valley. So whether you're stepping up to the plate or maybe hitting the track, getting back on the field for your weekend warrior activities, make sure that your body is also ready to perform. At Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, their team specializes in keeping athletes of all ages healthy, strong, and in the game. From injury prevention to expert care and recovery, they've got you covered every single step of the season. So don't let pain keep you on the sidelines. Get back to the game with confidence. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better, playing stronger, and staying in the game. If you're just joining us and you're want to chat a little football, we'll get to that. We'll get back to that coming up a little bit later on. But take a look at some of the free agents that are still out there in the NFL world and give me who you think would be a good fit. Maybe if you're not a Packers fan, but you want to chime in with your favorite team, I'm all about that too. So hit us up with that, okay? If you are a Packers fan, I also got a couple more questions to throw out to your way. Do you pick up the fifth-year option for Lucas Van Ness? That deadline is coming up on Friday. And put yourself in Christian Watson's shoes. Do you take a deal right now for a little security, or do you bet on yourself? Don't come at it from a fan's perspective. Come at it that you are Christian Watson. You bet on yourself, maybe you get top 10 wide receiver money. Or do you take the security? Knowing that, yeah, I've had some injuries and such. So we'll get back to that coming up a little bit later on. Don't forget, it is also a Toyson Ford to Grind My Gears Tuesday, so hit us up with what's grinding your gears, also your sports confessions and your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I want to throw this question out here. So we had a little rain delay yesterday for baseball, so stuck at home. So I'm like, I'm going to catch up. My boss was telling me last week about this Hulk Hogan documentary on Netflix, and I didn't know that it was on there. So I'm like, I'm gonna check this thing out. So I'm almost done. I'm like halfway through the final episode. All right. And I think it's pretty good. But it got me thinking. Like, I would not consider myself a wrestling fan. I would not consider myself a former wrestling fan when I was a kid. However, when I was a kid, I mean, I had the Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy. You know, I had some toys of him. I had the video game, Nintendo and Game Boy and such. And it got me thinking, who are some of the other athletes outside of the big, let's call it the big four, NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, and the NBA. Outside of those four, I mean, probably should even throw soccer into this one, but I'm going to leave soccer out of this. Outside of those, who is another, like, sports figure that they had such a impact on our culture, sports culture, or however you want to phrase it, that even though that maybe you weren't a fan or you wouldn't consider yourself a diehard fan, that maybe you still like, hey, I know who that guy is or that person is. Maybe you even had some swag or toys of them or whatever. Like, because I was thinking of this, thinking about this and watching. I'm like, oh yeah, I had that wrestling buddy. Oh yeah, I had that video game. Oh yeah, I had that. I probably never watched a wrestling match of Hulk Hogan though in my life, even as a kid. But I had the stuff as a kid because I knew who he was. I knew who he was, even though I wouldn't consider myself a fan. And it got me thinking, outside of those outside of the four, the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, and the ML and Major League Baseball, who else is like that had such a big impact on sports culture? Tiger Woods, Dale Earnhardt. Like, I wouldn't consider myself a NASCAR fan, but I'd throw Dale Earnhardt in there and maybe even I've always said Tiger's made it cool to golf for my generation. It's what got me really to go golfing. My aunt kind of started me into it, but Tiger just kind of like made it cool for me. So who are some of those other sports figures? All right. Think about that for a little minute. It got me thinking, because I think a lot of us know who like Hulk Hogan is. But maybe it wasn't, the biggest fan. So stay away from football, like NFL, NBA, or basketball, or Major League Baseball and hockey. Those are the four sports to kind of stay away from. I'm looking at, not necessarily, favorite players that you weren't a fan of their teams or anything like that. I'm looking at, who do you think had big impacts on sports culture, even though you may not have been a fan of that sport? But you're like, gosh darn it, I didn't realize, maybe you weren't a Tiger fan, but you wore the Tiger Nike golf hat. You know what I mean? Like, I remember a bunch of people wearing the Tiger Nike golf hat when I was younger, but they didn't golf. But they liked the look of the hat. So, something to ponder about. Let me know. Okay? Hit me up with a quick message on that either Shoe Doctor's bullpen line or the Section 105 chat. I did post it up on my Facebook page yesterday, too, and we got some good answers. Cale Yarborough had a ton of Hardee's NASCAR swag from our neighbors, and obviously Dick Trickle, says Brad. We had Earnhardt. Mike Tyson was a pick. Greg Norman from Adam said, and it's not even close. He was Tiger before Tiger, for those that know. Tony Hawk, I think, is a good one. Maybe for people like my generation playing the Tony Hawk video games and such. I remember like a couple times, but I was not a skater or biker or anything like that. Muhammad Ali was a pick on there. So those are some solid ones. Keep those coming. All right, just a few minutes left to the top of the hour here, so we'll get back to some of your comments here in just a bit. But really quick, we've got Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
Troy Aikman. That was the big thing that nobody had to be a fan of, but they would wear cowboy jerseys.
No NFL picks.
None?
No NFL picks.
I didn't hear that caveat rule.
No NFL, no NBA, no NHL.
Oof.
It's sports culture picks. Like Hulk Hogan. I was not a wrestling fan.
I grew up watching wrestling.
Hogan, but I had Hulk Hogan stuff.
Okay.
That sort of stuff. I probably never watched a wrestling match, but I had the Hulk Hogan wrestling buddy.
Oh, man, I grew up on wrestling. We had Jake the Snake Roberts, Andre the Giant. They snap into a Slim Jim, and then Rowdy Roddy on the mix as well.
Yeah. Did you watch the Hogan doc on Netflix?
No. Did you?
I'm halfway through the final episode.
Thumbs up?
It's really good.
Is it?
Yeah. No, it's got Jake the Snake on there, too.
Does it? No, I remember that was my dad's thing. He had only girls, but I remember we would sit and watch that every single weekend morning. That was like the thing in the house. And there was Snook a Splash was a thing. The guy would stand on the corner of the ropes and then jump down onto the stomach of somebody on the ground. Snook a Splash.
Look at you dropping some wrestling knowledge right now.
Oh, I know wrestling. I know
Holy.
wrestling. I grew up on it.
Wow.
So my sister and I would do that to one another. Incoming, snook splash, right into the guts, man. I'm telling you, it was brutal. But overall, when it came to wrestling, that was like what my dad and I would watch in the mornings and the weekends and stuff. So my dad, also the biggest BSer of all time, told me as a little Morgan that he was a wrestler. Because when you're little, you don't know what your parents do for work. You're like, he was a wrestler. I'm like, okay, that is a wrestler. That's why we watch it all the time. So sure enough, we go to school. What do your parents do?
Ah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So little kindergarten Morgan says, my dad wrestles. That's what I thought his job was. And he still has, I'll out him on this, he does still have a Hulk Hogan handlebar kind of mustache thing going on from back in the day.
Was that his guy?
Yeah. He was a Hogan guy.
Yeah. No, it's a really, because it's the last time. It's the last time Hogan ever did an interview.
Oh,
so,
yeah?
It's
so it's
fresh.
worth watching? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Definitely.
Well, and Thorpe, we have not too far from here, we have wrestling ties as well with Big Jim Gagne in Thorpe in that place, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Vern is actually name dropped by Hulk Hogan in this. So.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to watch it then.
Good, so.
Okay.
Yeah, for me not being, I played the video games and had all that stuff.
Why didn't you watch it? Just not into it?
Probably.
Yeah.
I never had a problem with it. It just never really stuck to me, I guess.
What, like the theatrics of it, or just?
I think that's awesome. Like
that's the fun part about it. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember there used to be a guy, the most obnoxious person. My sister and I would always hate this guy. Do you remember Mr. Ass back in the day? He wore pink and had like the lips. Yeah. I was wrestling. That's how we were brought up. So.
I'm impressed.
It's Superhero Day, though, so we'll do one superhero question for you, or a couple here if we have time. See how you know your superhero trivia. Where's Captain America from?
America.